Hi, friends. Welcome back to Mr. English Couple, your cozy corner for learning English through fun stories, real conversations, and a little bit of laughter.
That's right. I'm Paul.
And I'm Emily, your partner in English adventures. Together, we make learning English easy, natural, and, yes, sometimes a little silly.
Here on our channel, we don't just teach grammar or vocabulary, we live English, share stories, and show you how to think in English naturally.
So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's jump into today's story. It's playful, full of lessons, and maybe even a few surprises.
And before we start, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Mr. English Couple so you never miss a fun English adventure. Ready? Let's go.
Have you ever studied English for years, but still found yourself translating every word before you speak? You know all the grammar, all the tenses, all the rules, and yet when it's time to talk, your brain just freezes? Well, that was me, for a very long time.
Yeah, I remember those days. You'd spend hours studying vocabulary lists, but when a real person spoke to you, it was like your brain needed subtitles.
Exactly. It felt like I was assembling English instead of speaking it. Every morning, I'd sit at my little desk, open my grammar book, and repeat words like a robot. Go, went, gone. 20 new words a day. But by lunchtime, I'd already forgotten half.
And then there were those 10-minute grammar hack videos you used to watch.
Oh, yes. The ones that promised fluency by Tuesday. Spoiler alert, I was still saying, I have went. But the worst moment was at a cafe one afternoon. The barista asked, "What can I get for you?" And I just stood there, panicking. I wanted to say, "A cappuccino, please." But my brain froze, and I blurted out, "I want one capu thing."
Oh no, capu thing.
Yes, she corrected me. "You mean cappuccino?" I nodded like an embarrassed penguin and left. That was the day I realized I didn't need more grammar. I needed a new mindset.
That's when you joined that online English speaking club, right?
Yeah, and guess what? Everyone there made mistakes, and they didn't care. They laughed, corrected each other, and just kept talking. It was messy, but real.
That's the thing most learners miss. Fluency isn't perfection, it's connection.
Exactly. That night, I wrote in my journal, maybe fluency isn't about grammar. Maybe it's about confidence. But I didn't feel it yet. Weeks later, I took a walk in the rain. No books, no lessons, no headphones. Just me and my thoughts. And that's when I met him, a traveler who changed everything.
Oh, I remember this part. The bookstore cafe, right?
Yes. He asked, "Excuse me, do you know how to get to the old town?" And for the first time in years, I didn't translate. I didn't think about grammar. I just answered. Naturally. Effortlessly.
That was your first real English thought.
Exactly. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. That was the moment I stopped studying English and started living it.
And that's just the beginning. Next time we'll share the secret trick that finally made you start thinking in English without even realizing it.
So, if you're listening right now and you feel stuck, remember this. Fluency doesn't start with grammar. It starts with courage.
You're listening to Mr. English Couple, where we turn language learning into a story.
Do you remember that traveler I met in the cafe, Alex? The one who asked for directions to the old town?
Of course, you said that was the first time you spoke English without translating.
Yes, but what happened after that moment changed everything. Because he didn't just ask for directions, he invited me to walk with him. We walked for almost an hour through the rainy streets. We talked about books, travel, and even food, all in English. And the strange part was, I didn't notice time passing. My brain wasn't screaming, "What's the right tense?" It was just alive.
That sounds like you finally found your flow.
Exactly. That's what I call the English flow zone. It's when you stop learning English as a subject and start using it as a tool for expression.
So that's the secret trick, finding your flow zone.
Yes, but it's deeper than that. Let me explain what really happened in my brain. When I used to study English, I was memorizing translation links like apple equals manzana, walk equals caminar, beautiful equals bello. But the brain doesn't think in translations. It thinks in images, emotions, and stories. So when I stopped memorizing and started visualizing, something changed.
Visualizing, like imagining pictures for words?
Exactly. When I said rain, I pictured the smell of rain on the street. When I said coffee, I saw steam rising from the cup. I was teaching my brain to feel English, not translate it.
That's brilliant, Anna. So your trick wasn't grammar or vocabulary lists, it was imagination.
Imagination and immersion. I started surrounding myself with English everywhere. Sticky notes on the fridge, English podcasts while cooking, and even my phone in English mode. It wasn't study time anymore. It was English life.
So you built a tiny English world around you.
Yes, and inside that world, I stopped judging myself. I made mistakes, hundreds of them, but instead of feeling embarrassed, I started laughing, repeating, and moving on.
Like how kids learn their first language.
Exactly. Children don't study grammar charts. They listen, mimic, and respond. They don't know the rules, but they feel them. That's how fluency grows, naturally, emotionally. One evening, I caught myself thinking, what should I cook today? In English. It was such a small sentence, but I froze because for the first time in my life, my inner voice had switched languages.
That's beautiful. It's like your mind finally crossed the bridge.
Yes, and I realized you don't force yourself to think in English. You invite it in. You let it grow naturally by creating the right environment.
So, if someone listening right now wants to start thinking in English, what's the first step?
Here's the secret formula. Visualize, feel, repeat. 1. Visualize the meaning, not the translation. See it, hear it, smell it. When you learn the word coffee, imagine the aroma, the warmth, the sound of a sip. 2. Feel the emotion of what you're saying. If it's happy, smile. If it's sad, let your tone drop. Emotion connects memory. 3. Repeat naturally through real moments. Talk to yourself, narrate your day, or describe what you see out loud in English.
That's powerful. So, fluency isn't just about learning words, it's about living them.
Exactly. And that's what I want everyone listening to understand. Thinking in English isn't a gift, it's a habit. A habit you build one sentence, one emotion, one story at a time.
That's so beautiful. Next episode, we'll share how Anna used stories to strengthen her fluency even more and how you can do the same using your own life moments.
Yes, we'll dive into how storytelling rewires your English brain and makes learning feel like living a movie. You're listening to Mr. English Couple, where we turn language learning into a
Alex,
story.
I used to think fluency was about memorizing words. The more vocabulary I learned, the better I'd speak. That's what I believed. But it never worked that way. Because the truth is, I knew thousands of words, yet I couldn't feel them.
What do you mean by feel them?
I mean, I could say happy, sad, or excited, but they were just words on paper. No images, no emotions. So when I tried to speak English, it sounded empty.
That's powerful. You're saying that stories gave meaning to the words.
Exactly. The first time English clicked for me wasn't during a grammar lesson, it was during a story. I remember listening to an old story called The Blue Umbrella, and as the narrator spoke, I could see everything: the rain, the laughter, the sadness. That's when I realized I wasn't just understanding English anymore, I was feeling it.
That's what emotional English really means, right? It's when your brain connects words to feelings, not translations.
Yes, when we feel a story, when we live it, our brain starts to think in that language. That's the secret behind emotional fluency.
So instead of memorizing happy equals kush or sad equals udas, you lived those feelings in English through stories.
Exactly. Every story became a small world where I could feel, react, and learn. That's when English stopped being a subject and started becoming a language of my heart.
And that's something every learner can do. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to feel the words you say.
Yes, because when words carry emotion, they stay. Not just in your mind, but in your
Anna,
memory.
I think that's what makes your story special. Most learners just read stories, but you live them. How did you actually do that?
It started simple. Every night, before sleeping, I'd play one short story in English. Just 5 minutes. Then, the next morning, I'd close my eyes and try to retell it in my own words. Not perfectly, just emotionally. Do you remember the first time you realized you were thinking in English without even trying?
Oh, yes. You were brushing your teeth, right?
Exactly. I looked in the mirror and thought, I'm running late. Then suddenly I realized, wait, I thought that in English, not in my native language. It felt strange, but beautiful.
So what changed? How did you go from translating everything to thinking automatically in English?
It didn't happen overnight, but I started using what I now call the mind mirror method. Every day, I would talk to myself, out loud or silently, in English, not as a lesson, but as a conversation with my thoughts. For example, when making breakfast, I'd say to myself, I need more milk. Or, oops, I almost burned the toast. It was small, but powerful, because I was training my inner voice to speak in English.
So your brain started forming thoughts directly in English, no translation in between.
Exactly. At first, it felt unnatural, but with time, my brain stopped asking, what's the word for this? And started saying, oh, that's how it feels.
That's such a big mindset shift. It's not about memorizing English, it's about living in English.
Yes, you can think of it like moving into a new home. At first, everything feels unfamiliar. You don't know where the spoons are or which light switch works. But the more time you spend there, the more it becomes yours. That's what happens when you think in English. You make the language your mental home.
So how can our listeners start building that mental home today?
Here's what I recommend. It's my simple 3-step brain training routine. Step 1, narrate your day. Start describing what you're doing in English. Like, I'm walking to the bus. I'm checking my phone. I feel tired. It doesn't matter if you're wrong, just speak. Step 2, ask yourself questions throughout the day. Ask little questions in English. What should I eat? Where are my keys? Why is today so cold? This keeps your brain active, like you're chatting with yourself. Step 3, reflect in English. At the end of the day, think or journal in English. Talk about what went well, what made you smile, what challenged you. That reflection builds emotional memory, and emotional memory builds fluency.
That's incredible. You're basically turning daily life into a classroom, but a fun one.
Exactly. And the secret is consistency, not perfection. Because when English becomes your inner voice, you stop learning English, you start living it.
You know, what I love most about this journey is that it's not just about language. It's about rediscovering yourself through another world of words.
Yes, every language gives you a new way to feel, a new way to think, a new version of you.
You're listening to Mr. English Couple, helping you think, feel, and live in English.
There was a time when my biggest fear wasn't forgetting words. It was hearing my own voice in English.
You mean like the sound of your accent?
Exactly. Every time I spoke, I could hear the mistakes before anyone else did. The wrong tense, the odd pronunciation. It felt like my own voice was judging me. But then one day, something changed. I recorded myself speaking, just a small diary entry in English. At first, I hated listening to it. But the more I did, the more I realized something magical. My mistakes didn't sound bad. They sounded human.
That's such an important moment for every learner. Realizing that mistakes don't make you weak, they make you real.
Yes, that's when I discovered what I now call the English inner voice. It's that quiet version of yourself that speaks English in your mind without fear, without judgment. It's your truest, most confident self.
So, how does someone find that inner voice?
It begins with silence. Not the kind where you avoid speaking, but the kind where you listen to yourself. I'd close my eyes, take a deep breath, and think, what does my English voice sound like when it's not afraid? Then I'd start speaking softly to myself about my day, my feelings, my plans, like I was talking to a friend. No script, no pressure.
That's beautiful, Anna. You turned self-talk into self-healing.
Yes, because learning English isn't just learning words, it's learning to accept yourself in another language. And the funny thing is, the moment I stopped worrying about being perfect, my English started sounding natural.
That's what I love about your journey. It's not about sounding like a native, it's about sounding like you.
Exactly. Fluency isn't a race, it's a rhythm, your rhythm. So if you're listening right now and you still hesitate to speak, try this little exercise tonight. Stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself, and say in English, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm getting better every day. Then smile. That's your English inner voice, and it deserves to be heard.
That's so powerful. Sometimes the real fluency isn't in words, it's in believing your own voice.
Yes, because when you believe in your voice, you don't just speak English, you shine in it.
You're listening to Mr. and English Couple, where we help you find your voice and fall in love with
You know,
English again.
Alex, for the longest time, I thought I needed more words, more grammar, more practice. But what I really needed was less thinking.
Less thinking? That sounds the opposite of learning.
I know, right? But here's what happened. Alex, for the longest time, I thought I needed more words, more grammar, more practice. But what I really needed was less thinking.
Less thinking? That sounds the opposite of learning.
I know, right? But here's what happened. Every time I tried to speak English, my brain went into exam
Is this
mode.
correct?
Am I using the right tense? Will they laugh? By the time I found the perfect word, the conversation was already over.
Ah, the classic English freeze. Every learner's nightmare.
Exactly. But one day, something shifted. I call it my confidence switch. It happened during an English club session. We were playing a simple game. Describe your day in 30 seconds. When my turn came, I forgot half my vocabulary. So I just started speaking with whatever words I had. I smiled, used gestures, even made up a few words. And you know what? People laughed, not at me, but with me. They understood me. And I realized something powerful that day. Fluency isn't about saying everything right. It's about keeping the conversation alive.
That's the moment you flipped your confidence switch. You stopped waiting for perfect English and started enjoying real English.
Exactly. And from that day, I started training my brain differently. Whenever I wanted to speak, I told myself 3 simple things. Number 1, speak, don't translate. Your first thought is usually the truest one. Trust it. Number 2, smile while speaking. It calms your nerves and makes your voice natural. Number 3, mistakes are part of your accent, and your accent is your story.
That's beautiful, Anna. You turned confidence into a mindset, not a grammar rule.
Yes, because language isn't a test. It's an experience. Once you stop judging yourself, your English flows naturally.
It's like that quote you once told me. Perfection kills connection.
Exactly. When I stopped aiming to be correct, I started becoming confident.
So for our listeners today, if you want to speak English without overthinking, remember, confidence isn't built before you speak. It's built while you speak.
Yes. Turn on your confidence switch. Start the sentence, even if it's messy, because every word you say in courage is one word closer to fluency.
And don't forget to laugh. Laughter is the most universal language there is.
That's so true. And sometimes laughing at your mistakes is the first step to mastering English. You're listening to Mr. English Couple, where we turn your fear into fluency and your English into confidence.